Well, we're here with another episode of Conversations and Connections. We're the official podcast of the Family Crisis Center of East Texas. I'm Stuart Burson, the prevention coordinator for the agency, and with me today, I have Lyndsey, is it Brawley? Brawley, okay. I just want to make sure I had that correct. The director of leadership programs with the Chamber. Specifically, I asked Lyndsey to come on the podcast, kind of talk about two programs that I'm familiar with. There may be some others, the leadership Lufkin program, and also the Leadership Tomorrow program. So again, Lyndsey, I appreciate you finding your way over here.
Yes, I've never been back here before. I was like, okay, is this the right spot?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. So I guess first of all, can you just tell me first, what are the leadership programs? I know that's probably a very wide umbrella for several different things, but exactly, just tell us what the leadership programs are all about.
Okay, so our main program that we have is Leadership Lufkin, and that is the one that has been in existence the longest.
Yes, ma'am.
We're actually getting ready to start Class 41. We'll start in August. So that means that we have had the leadership program for Leadership Lufkin for now 41 years, basically.
Wow.
So, yes. And Leadership Tomorrow is, well, I'll go back. Leadership Lufkin. This is our leadership development program that we offer through the Chamber. We take the first 25 applicants that apply for it. And these are what I would consider working professionals in every aspect of their career. We have some that are just starting out, young, out of college, just starting out in their career, all the way up to, seasoned veterans in their careers. And it's just kind of where you are and when the program fits. It's a 9-month commitment. So, and there is a tuition that goes along with it. So there's some things that, you kind of have to work out logistically to make sure that it works for you. But we start in August with the Leadership Lufkin program, and we start out with a retreat for the class. This year we're going to Camp Choye for a leadership development. It's 2 days. We have a speaker come in and do the Core Insights program that he does, where they talk about personality and leadership traits and, kind of like your leadership's evaluations.
Sure.
And so Brian does that, and then we also do team building exercises when we're there. It's just a kind of a good get to know you for these 25 people that maybe don't know each other, and they're just thrown into this group together. I will say, by the end of the class, our graduation is in May, you see just the incredible bonds that these people have formed with each other. And this was my first year to experience the program, and it was really cool to see it. I started in August of last year.
Okay.
So I came in literally right when they were getting ready to go on their retreat.
Okay.
And then stayed through the program. So we just had graduation in May. So we graduated our class 40 in May. And it's funny because when the alumni get together, they all have a saying of whatever class they are. They'll say, "Oh, I'm from class 38, the best class ever." So every class is the best class ever. So it's really cool when they all get together and kind of talk about what class they were in, and when you have the alumni join them for certain events.
Okay.
So, so we start with the retreat in August. We move into our first leadership session. We have a session every month. And we have a committee through the Chamber that plans those monthly sessions for them. So these are people that have gone through the program, and now they serve on the planning committee for Leadership Lufkin. And so we have an advisor for each session, and that person helps me make contacts and plan the day. So the day usually is 8 to 5. We start at the Chamber. We have breakfast. We sometimes have a speaker in the morning, and then we literally hit the road, and we are all over Lufkin. And the days usually have a theme to them. We'll have like Education Day, or where we might visit, several of the different schools in the area. And that was a really cool one last year because we got to hit St. Cyprian's to see, private school, we did Lufkin High School and got to tour the new activity, their gym there. Went to Huntington High School, and they're doing some fantastic things there with their nursing program that they have for the students at their health med program. I'm not exactly sure what they call it, but it's really cool with what they're doing. And then we ended the day at Angelina College, and got to go through their simulation rooms, and it's just really cool to see the different, I'd say, learning opportunities that are available in, not only Lufkin, but Angelina County. And, I for myself, I had never been to Lufkin High School. I'm not from here. So we went to Lufkin, and it's very grand, and it's very, that gym that they have is, that's college level caliber.
It definitely is.
And so when we left there, we went to Huntington, and I wasn't really sure if it was what to expect. Obviously Huntington School is smaller, and their facilities aren't as new, and it was just as impressive with the things that they're offering for their students there. I think tailoring it to the students from that area and understanding what their needs are. And so it was really cool. I enjoyed the education day, probably one of my favorite ones.
Sure.
But we have local government day, where we spend the day and, we meet with judges, and we meet with the mayor, and we meet with, past representatives will come in and speak. We have healthcare day where we tour both of the hospitals. And of course we try, with it being a chamber sponsored program, we try to keep the exposure to the businesses that we go to our chamber investors. That's, a perk of being a chamber investor. We get to take our leadership program to your business, and, but we have Business and Economy Day where we toured, some of the manufacturing facilities. Brookshire Brothers, obviously, is a big participant for our corporate days. Lockheed, we got to tour there. That was really cool. So,
if I'm not mistaken, I think leadership came to the Family Crisis Center. Well, I do know y'all worked one day. Oh man, I'm trying to remember when it was, but y'all put together some playground equipment.
Okay, so the class used to do a class project. So I'm guessing that may have been.
I think that's what it was.
What it was. This year we eliminated the class project just because we kind of felt like we were asking these businesses to sponsor their participant going through the program, and then we didn't want to ask them to go back to them and ask for more, contributions for a class project.
Okay.
However, we did replace that with on our nonprofit day, and we had them. They went to CISC and handed out food at CISC, and so we were able to incorporate, some other things into a project. We also had a very good leadership with this class. The class that I'm most familiar with is the one that we just finished, but they were really great about organizing. At Christmas time, the class would get together and ring the bell for the Salvation Army, or hand out, do a day at the food bank. And they were representing Leadership Lufkin Class 40. And so I think we had really good participation from the class just out in the community. Yeah. Of course, we asked them to complete volunteer hours for the Texas State Forest Festival. I mean, there's no way that the chamber could put on that event without our volunteers. So that's kind of after the retreat, that's their next kind of dip into you're gonna get to know each other because you're gonna volunteer together for 5-hour shifts at the ticket booths, and so it's a good opportunity, I think, for everybody to kind of break the ice, and you get to know people in your class.
Cool. I guess you kind of answered this, what I'm about to ask you, in a roundabout way, but with Leadership Lufkin, if you could maybe narrow it down the goal. Hey, we have this group of residents here in Lufkin. They're part of this class. What do you want them to come away with?
So I would say our main goal is leadership development and understanding Lufkin, Angelina County businesses, obviously as the Chamber of Commerce, that's our job to promote our investors, our chamber investors. And so we want to make sure that we're not only having leadership development for the class, but we're taking them into the community and letting them see leadership development within these businesses.
Right.
As we went out to McWilliams and Son, and we had great, Crystal spoke with the group about, so it's you're not only just visiting the business and understanding what they do, but you're understanding their core values as a business. And so we've really asked the businesses to talk about their leadership development that they have within their group or their organization, or kind of how they mentor their employees. That's important too. So we want everybody that goes through the program to get a key understanding of really just how things work in Lufkin and Angelina County, but also kind of see the leadership development that's happening within our investors. Our main kind of event that we have for this class is we travel to Austin every February for Chamber Day at the Capitol. And so we get to sit in, this last year we did, we got to meet with 3 different agencies. Like we got to sit in with the Office of Appointments. And that was really cool because you get to, we just literally had a one-on-one with the guy that's, the office that's making, appointment suggestions to the governor. And we got to sit down and talk to them and just kind of pick their brain. We also had, I think it was the Human Services Office, which we have a lot of people in our groups that are healthcare, have healthcare related jobs or have interest in the healthcare industry. So that was a really cool. And of course, with everything being in session this year, we got to see a lot of things going on. And then we have a whole day of speakers while we're in Austin. We got to hear from a lot of speakers that were involved with the SFA UT transition, and let them kind of talk, which I thought was really cool because we travel with the Nacogdoches Chamber to Austin, and so their leadership class actually only have a leadership class every other year. So they have their leadership class when the legislature is in session.
Gotcha.
So we got to travel with their class this year. And we had some really cool speakers. Like, I think people, Kevin Elteff with, I believe he's with, it's the UT Regent system. He's with the health side of it. And he was great. Like, he really was very candid. And I feel like was able to answer a lot of questions that people had about what is the future of SFA going to look like, and everybody had a lot of questions about that. So we had some very good speakers. And then we end that trip with a reception. And we have literally alumni travel to Austin that have been through this program just to come and go to the reception and kind of hang out with the classes because they had such a great time on their trip with their class. So it's a really cool, that was a cool trip. I had never been to Austin. I'm not from Texas, so I had not been to Austin. I had not been to the Capitol in Texas. And so that was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And again, we have an opportunity there for these people. We're just bonding. Everybody's, everybody's getting to know each other. You're on a bus ride. You're, a Greyhound bus to Austin for, 3-4 hours. I know, what people's kids are doing, and it's a great opportunity. And I would say similar to, like the people that you meet maybe when you go to college and, 20 years after you say, oh, who do I know that's an attorney, and you go back through your, your list of people that you've kind of acquired over the years. And I feel like the leadership program is like that too. Like you have a roster of 25 mentors and friends that you've made that are now, working professionals in Lufkin and Angelina County and beyond that you've, created this bond with. So the leadership development that we're teaching is important, but I also think that the leadership development that they're just gathering on their own is just invaluable.
Sure.
So.
Who's eligible if someone's interested in taking part in this, what are the prerequisites or the requirements? Who would be eligible to take part in this?
Sure. So we open the application process up every March. And those dates are usually advertised, once we get closer to March. The application process is literally first come, first serve.
Okay.
And I will tell you, we've had so much interest in the past that if we take the first 25. However, we give priority to our chamber investors. So if you work for a company that is a chamber investor over maybe you're just wanting to do the program, but you're not affiliated with a company that is a chamber investor, our chamber investors do get priority. So in that class year, if you get bumped down the list, you get the first right of refusal for the next year's class. So we call you, if you're, candidate 26 through 30 from this year, we will call you next spring and say, hey, we rolled you over to, to the next year. Are you still interested? And honestly, the only requirement other than that is you must live or work in Angelina County. Okay. So we give priority to our chamber investors, and then you must live or work in Angelina County. So there's a short application that honestly just gives us a little bit of information. We don't technically, unlike our Leadership Tomorrow program, the process to get in is not based on the application. Okay. So we just take the first 25. Sure. And then even this year, we've had, a couple of people in our first 25 that, they applied in March. Things changed. We've had people that have now taken, new jobs in different towns. So, we've had the opportunity to bump some people up that we're not in the top 25 and just, as those people kind of have to step out. Now, we do ask that once you are committed to the program, you are required to attend the retreat.
This is a commitment. It's a serious commitment if you want to be involved in this. It certainly is.
I think last year, you're looking at between our sessions, the retreat, I think from what I did the math, 100 hours. Right. You're looking at 100 hours, and that's just minimum. That doesn't include your volunteer hours that we ask you to complete. We understand people are working, you have jobs, you have families, you have other commitments, things come up. So we try to be very flexible. If you need to miss a session, we have opportunities for you to make up hours. We also encourage all of our people that come in, and I don't think people understand this because it's so early in the session, but we always tell them work as many hours for the Forest Festival as you can, because you can bank those volunteer hours. And then if you have to miss a session for, your sickness or, a work commitment or something else, then you've got the volunteer hours banked that you can roll over, because we do require you to complete the minimum number of hours to be able to graduate from the program.
So enrollment now. This episode is going to be released in July. So obviously, if someone's listening to this, they're interested. Just sit tight. Wait till March.
Absolutely, and I would say the day that the applications are open, you want to have your application in. Because it fills up very, very fast. So we've had, I think this past year we had applications open from March to May. I would say if you're past the end of March, you're probably on the wait list. Okay. So, it's just very competitive. Sure. It's a great program. Yeah. It's a $1,500 tuition commitment, but you are getting so much for that. And the exposure that you're getting around just Lufkin and Angelina County, is great, and you get to meet with a lot of people.
And I would think, and I can't speak for all the employers here, but, someone, say, oof, $1,500. But I think a lot of times whoever your employer may foot that bill for you to attend.
Sure.
Because it looks good for them too.
Absolutely.
And it is beneficial for them
Yes,
to have an employee that go through this program.
We are very thankful for any of our sponsors. Obviously, our tuition sponsors for our participants that go through the class, and we try to recognize them throughout the year, so that they understand that we know it's a large commitment, and that we appreciate the fact that they would do that. Now, we do also offer scholarships. So the Alumni Association, if maybe you are an individual or you work for a nonprofit that doesn't have, the budget to, pay $1,500 for you to go through the program, the Alumni Association offers scholarships every year. And we actually just had our fundraiser, the first part of June. We had the dueling piano show. That is our fundraiser for the scholarship program. So we actually raised just a little over $17,000 that will go into our scholarship program that we can award. So we usually award 2 full scholarships for each class, and then we will also award 2 partial scholarships. So, and that varies from year to year, and there's an application process for a scholarship. So if you are an individual and you're sitting there going, "Gosh, I don't think my employer could cover the tuition fee," or "I don't think I could do that on my own," we always tell people, please apply. We will work with you. We will try to get you a scholarship. We want everybody to go through the program that has a desire to go through it. And so it is a large commitment. That bus that we rent to go to Austin is not cheap. And, our hotel, and all of that goes towards the program. So our meals that we have, our graduation ceremony, we try to use all of that money to go towards, helping the chamber offset the cost. Well, it's actually the foundation. This program runs through the Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And so, and we actually had not had that fundraiser, the dueling piano show. We had not had that fundraiser, I believe, since 2020. Okay. I think they had it in 2020 because it would have been in February, so before the world shut down. And then we have not had that since. So we were very happy to bring it back and have a successful, fundraiser like we did after not having it for 3 years to kind of replenish our scholarship fund. Because we also, I don't know if are you kind of good with Leadership Lufkin? Because we can go into Leadership Tomorrow.
You must be psychic because that's the next thing we was going to ask. I do want to shift gears a little bit and talk about Leadership Tomorrow. I may be very wrong to assume this. Is it like Leadership Lufkin, but it's just for younger people? It is.
So it is for the Leadership Tomorrow program is for high school juniors. So it is for students in Angelina County that are going into their junior year of high school. So they actually apply for the program as a sophomore. And then their application process is pretty rigorous. And there is a large application packet that they are required to fill out. They have to write an essay, and then we also require them to have an evaluation that is done by their counselor, their principal, somebody within the school system that knows them well, and they have to evaluate them, and that's part of the application process as well. Okay. However, it is a blind application. We black out all personal information before the applications go out to our committee, so that we kind of feel like it levels the playing. I mean, Lufkin's, even Angelina County, small town. For a lot of people. Sure. So. We want to make sure that, the applications are being judged on their merit, and that the content of the application is what we're looking at, and not, do I work with your parents or, and so the kids that get in, we feel like they're getting in on their own merit because of their application. We have talked about even doing next year, just because I don't know that you can properly, distinguish one over the other by an application. And so I encouraged Tara for next year. I said, let's bring them in for like a face-to-face interview, so let's weight their applications, because I like to get, some FaceTime and just kind of see.
Sure.
It is another very prestigious program. Now, this program, it mimics the Leadership Lufkin program. We have the monthly sessions. Their program runs from September to April. We actually don't have, because of the school year, and they miss one day of school a year. We've had a great partnership with all of our schools that provide us with a bus transportation for each session. So all the schools come together. I reach out to them. They'll say, we got this day. And they pick the kids up after they have their morning kind of leadership development crash course that we have every session. We start with that. They have a leadership trait for the day. And then we have Dr. Ty Coffin. He teaches that program. And so he is our chairman for the Leadership Tomorrow Committee. And then he kind of leads that group.
Okay.
So he's fantastic. Of course, he's the principal at the early college high school at Lufkin. And so he has been great, and he has come in and really helped us with this program. And we have a fantastic committee as well that help us plan each session, and some of them have been doing it for years. So, they are familiar with how these run and how they need to operate and what they need to look like. And then we've got new committee members coming in every year, because we're rotating that committee.
Okay.
And so bringing in fresh ideas and, new things for these kids to... Theirs is a little bit more challenging, I would say, when you're planning their content, when you're working with, 16 and 17-year-olds versus what you're exposing maybe people in their careers to see. We have to, and I've been more careful as the year went on to make sure that our presenters are engaging. You can't set these kids down in front of a PowerPoint and have them go through a bunch of slides and tell you what their business does, that you are going to lose them within the first 5 minutes.
Sure.
So we've actually talked about coming up with more of a curriculum for that program that we share with our speakers, our day visits, that we can kind of help guide them through. Because, not everybody is used to having 25 17-year-olds in their place of business, so it can be a challenge for them as well, understanding, what the content is. But it's the same premise. We want leadership development. We want to expose these kids to the great things that are happening. The goal for them, I think, looks a little different, because we want them to see all of the opportunities that there are for them in Lufkin, in Angelina County. So finish high school, go off, get your education if you want to, go straight into the workforce. We're trying to expose them to different avenues so that hopefully they come back to Lufkin, Angelina County, and, continue their career here, and eventually maybe even continue on through the Leadership Lufkin program. We have had a few. The Leadership Tomorrow program has been, we're on year 41 for Leadership Lufkin. This is year 32 for Leadership Tomorrow.
Well, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. And I know you're new here to the East Texas area.
Sure.
Is there a track record of students who have gone through Leadership Tomorrow and then later on as adults go through?
I know we've had several. I know that there have been several. Obviously with 32 years of one program and, 41 of the other, you're going to have some overlap there. We probably do need to sit down. I know for a fact that we have, just out of Leadership Lufkin, we've had 778 graduates go through that program. So
excellent.
It's the Leadership Tomorrow program. Obviously is a little bit newer, but 32 years, we've been, we've had these kids come through the program, and we've had them come back and tell us my daughter met her college roommate that they ended up, going off to, college with because they went through this program together. And it is really cool. You see these kids because we have a large number from Lufkin High School just because, that's our largest school.
Sure.
But this year we even have representation from Piney Woods Academy. We have representation from St. Cyprian's, and those are two new ones that we have not had go through the program before. We have representation from every school in Angelina County except Zavala. We did not get any applications from Zavala, but we have every other school is represented through the program. And you kind of see, you would kind of expect, obviously these kids know each other, from school and other activities, and you would kind of expect them to stay kind of grouped up, but they don't. They really spread out. We do some, Ty does a really great program with them on the first day where he kind of like pairs them up, and he said he even noticed that they kind of stay in those groups throughout the year when they have to get together because they spend so much time together on that first day, kind of getting to know each other. And the first day is really cool. We kind of take a first day with them, and I would call it maybe Leadership 101, but we bring in like a panel from the community, and we have them interview them, like ask them questions. We teach them how to write a thank you note. We teach them how to address someone, formally as, Mr. or Mrs. I mean, it's
a lot of things I think maybe us older folks may have been taught, but younger people may not really know and I think business etiquette or things like that.
Exactly. And it's a great, I think, just refresher course for some of them. It just, the things that we are able to expose them to is, I think it's a really cool program.
Right.
And so that one, application process is similar, like the applications open. I want to say we had those applications open this year, maybe before spring break. And their window is a little bit narrower because we try to make that selection pretty early. Just so we really wanted to try to make it before they were out of school this year because it's easier to contact them. We have a great relationship with all the counselors at the schools, and we can kind of work through them. And they work really good with us because these kids have to be out of school for a whole day. And so they coordinate that with them and make sure that they're scheduled. I mean, we ask for in the application, what concurrent classes are you taking? Is this going to, are we going to have a problem with your college classes? And, we work around that because we had some this last year that had college finals. As high school juniors, that is a legitimate, bridge that we have to cross with them because they or different spring breaks now for Angelina County, testing dates, all that kind of stuff. So we work around that and make sure that they're able to complete the program. They have the same kind of volunteer requirements that we have for the Leadership Lufkin program. We require them to volunteer at the Forest Festival, which is great because I think some of them may have never even been to the Forest Festival. So they get to come to the Forest Festival, and then we also have them volunteer at our annual banquet. So they actually serve at our banquet, and so they help serve the meal at the chamber banquet in February. So that's a required volunteer, and it's great. They get opportunity to kind of network with all of our chamber investors and talk to them, and some of them they know them because maybe their parents are there at the, and same concept with they have a tuition. Theirs is a little bit less. So their tuition is $300. And we ask for them to find a sponsor. So the great thing about that is it gives them an opportunity to go make the ask, which may be kind of hard, if you've never asked somebody for money. So, it gives them the opportunity to go and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm going through this program, I would like to have your support, would you be interested in sponsoring me, through this program? So we hope that's the conversations that they're having with, and a lot of the people that are supporting them are our chamber investors. So it's great. It's great to see that, and that they're standing behind them for these programs. And it's just they're a fantastic group of kids.
Well, excellent. So if somebody's listening, either they're interested in Leadership Lufkin, Leadership Tomorrow, Where can they get more information on the programs?
The chamber website
Okay.
is probably the best place just right now for just
Sure.
general information. Again, we don't release the dates for the applications, but if you're leadership tomorrow and interested, if you're your kid's going into their sophomore year
Right.
in high school, that's the kids that we're looking for next year's program. We push those dates through the schools. The schools know when they are. We push them through the chamber. Any of our media outlets, Facebook, anything, our email, traffic that we send out. So
Right.
all of that's in there. But I would say 1st of March is when you want to start looking for that concrete date. And we probably have it out even before then. But
Right.
1st of March is when we typically start accepting applications for both of those programs.
Okay.
We also have our Leading Edge program, which we actually just finished. That program runs from January through June. And the Leading Edge program is we partner with the Angelina College, the nonprofit leadership center at AC, and they come in and teach this class how to serve on a nonprofit board.
Okay.
So they go through basically 6 sessions because we have it's a half day. This commitment is not quite as much. It's a half day session once a month.
Okay.
And they go through a whole curriculum of policy and procedures, how to read through the minutes. I mean, it's not maybe the most stimulating content, but it's important.
But it's very important
because
things
we have
to
a
know.
lot of people that, we have a lot of nonprofit boards in Angelina County that, maybe someone gets asked to serve on the board, but they have no idea what that entails. Mm-hmm. So this is the 3rd year that we've done the Leading Edge program. And actually when they graduate from the program, they go into what's called the board bank. And so if you are a nonprofit and you have a position open on your board of directors, you can contact AC or you can contact the Chamber of Commerce, and we can actually recommend someone that has been through this training as someone that you would, feel comfortable having serve on your board because they've been through the whole process and understand not only what does the paperwork side of it look like, but we require them to board shadow. So they go to at least one nonprofit executive meeting and they sit in and they shadow those meetings. Okay. They also have a mentor within the nonprofit sector that they meet with. I think we asked them to meet with them 3 times. And it's just very informal. Let me pick your brain. Like, what is there something that, you wish you would have known before you jumped into, to serve on a nonprofit board, or, what would you go back and do different, or what's worked really well, or so it's a great program. I've talked to some people in other communities and they were just like, wow, I wish we had that here, because that just really, would be something that would be beneficial, in a professional setting for people to understand like what that looks like to serve on a nonprofit, board of directors.
Sure. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lyndsey, Brawley, thank you so much for talking about the different leadership programs that the Chamber has to offer. And I just want to close things out as always. If you feel like you need the services of the Family Crisis Center, we do have our 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week hotline. That is 1-800-828-7233. Be sure to subscribe to Conversations and Connections. You can do that via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much any podcast service of your choice. And remember, as always, be the voice, if not for you, for someone else.